Hey guys, so this video is on C8, another IXL assignment I gave you now in the second marking period. C8 is about proofs involving angles. The trick with proofs, especially these fill-in proofs, you really need to kind of analyze line by line what's going on. So this is the information they gave you. Angle W and angle U are supplementary. Let's go ahead and stop right there and see that that's in the proof. Yep, given. Okay. Angle V, angle U are also supplementary. Okay, good, they wrote it there, and that should be given. That was the information gave to you. Then it says to complete the rest of the rest of the proof. They want you to prove that angle W and angle V are congruent, which should be the last line in your proof. Good, and they already gave you that reason. So in this problem here, you actually just need to figure out what is the reason for this. Usually, the first couple of sentences right after you're given has something to do with your given statement. So what I mean by that, this line 3 says is involving angle W and angle U, that they equal 180. That came from statement 1. It's the fact that we know that angle W and angle U are supplementary, and supplementary means two angles that add up to 180 degrees. So it's kind of like a chain reaction. Since we know that they're supplementary, that means that they should add up to equal 180 degrees. So it should follow that the next thing we should do with statement 1 is to write statement 3. Write it in an equation. So your reason should have something to do with that. So it could either be, looks like it could be this one, angles forming a linear pair sum up to 180, or definition of supplementary angles. Definition of supplementary angles is going to be the best answer, because the reason that we wrote statement 3 is because we understand the definition of supplementary angles. All right. There we go. All right, next one. Angle E and angle F are complementary. That's there, given. Angle G and E are also complementary, given. Complete the proof that angle F and G are congruent. Last line of your proof. So we're on statement 5. They want us to say, well, statement 5 says angle E plus the measure of angle E plus the measure of angle F equals the measure of angle G and the measure of angle E. Let's work backwards. Statement 3 looks like it came from statement 1. Complementary means 90 degrees, so they put that in an equation. They expressed it in an equation. Statement 4 looks like it came from statement 2. Since they're complementary, that means that they add up to 90 degrees, so that's exactly where that's coming from. Definition of complementary angles. So now, from statement 3 and 4, it looks like they put statement 3 and statement 4 together. Now, the only reason that they can do that is because both of these equations in statement 3 and 4, they equal the same thing. So they basically substituted. Since they basically took the equation of statement 3, angle E plus angle F, and then they set it equal, instead of 90, they set it equal to this equation, because this equation also equals 90. That is a substitution. So here's our answer. All right. This one looks like you need the final line of your proof. So let's just go ahead and kind of go through the proof beginning to end and see what should be the most logical thing. But notice what I'm doing here. I take a look at the line, and I look at a couple of lines backwards and see what makes sense. What's the logical step leading up to this point? So they just said to complete the proof. Angle QUR is congruent to angle SUT, which is the last line of your proof, and we need that reason. So let's just go ahead and read this proof all the way through. QUR, that's this angle right here. Let me mark that so we can see it better. QUR is this angle right here, from Q to U to R. And RUS is this angle. Let's put that in another color. RUS is this angle. So RUS is in green and QUR is in red. Well, that makes a line, so that makes sense that those two should add up to 180 degrees. Okay. Angles forming, yep, I just said it makes a line. Angles forming a linear pair. There's that word line. Then it said RUS, so the same angle up here, RUS, and SUT, let's get another color. SUT, that's this angle here, also make 180 degrees. Yeah, because the blue angle and the green angle make a line. So again, makes sense that the reason it's going to be angle forming a linear pair are going to add up to 180 degrees. then it looks like, kind of like that previous problem, that these two equations equal the same thing. So again, I can just replace this with this one. Now, I've said this a couple of times at class that substitution and transitive are very similar. This can also be a transitive property where 180 is the connector between this equation and this equation, right? 180 is the whole reason why I can now connect these two equations to set them equal. So transitive property is a good choice, and also substitution could have been a good choice. They wouldn't give you transitive and substitution and then make you pick between the two. It would either be one or the other, but they wouldn't give you both options. That would just be unfair. So then here, it looks like we got, now it looks like we got rid of RUS on both sides. So we subtracted. That's why the reason is algebra. And QUR got dropped and SUT got dropped. So if the measure of QUR is congruent to the measure of SUT, what's QUR? That's this one, and SUT, okay. Looks like this could either be either definition of congruence, or since those angles are making an X, this looks like it could be vertical angles. Let's see what the options are. So we have definitely not sum to 180. No, we didn't talk about splitting an angle. We did not talk about 90-degree angles. So here I am, I got definition of congruence. That could have been an option. Because now we're just saying, since the measure of these angles are congruent, then that means that the angles are congruent. Notice the difference between, there's a very small difference between line 4 and line 5. Line 5 is missing that lowercase m, which means measure. So this is that if the angle measures are congruent, then that means that the actual angles are congruent, which would be definition of congruence. All right, and I just got to 50, so I'm going to go ahead and stop it there. I hope that this video helped, and I hope that it was informative. The thing I really want you to take away from this video is analyze your lines line by line, work backwards, okay? And you try to give yourself ideas of what do you think it should be before you try to click the drop down and see, because sometimes it's a lot, and you can kind of rule out some of the reasons if you understand what's going on line by line. All right, good luck.